It is a great pleasure that I give you tonight Vishaan Chakrabarti.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I know everyone is anxious to see each other again. You haven't been with your classmates in some time, but I'd ask you to, we've put a lot of work into the speakers tonight, and so I'd ask you to kind of focus on what it is we're doing, and then there'll be plenty of time to talk and network, that very suspicious word in the English language, later. So, so I'm the Mark Holliday Professor, Director of the program. I want to thank Dana, who's been such a great supporter of ours, Mehul, Fred, for their comments tonight. Columbia, as Mark Wigley is fond of saying, is a very experimental school. Tonight is a great experiment. The experiment was this: we hypothesized that if we put a great event together, right, had great speakers, had great opportunities for all of us to reconnect with each other, that people might actually pay to be here. And look, it worked, right? So who knew? But it was a great experiment, and we're so glad that you're all here tonight. We're very thankful for showing the support that you are all showing and spending your evening with us in this unbelievable, extraordinary space. I'd like to extend a very special welcome that spans our 24-year history from a few of the members of the class of 1986, who I had the honor of talking to earlier tonight, and to the class of 2010, a very special class for me because it was my first class during my tenure here. An evening like this has many, many contributors: our Gala committee, Mehul, Fred, Dana, the very expectant Laura Eckhart-Smith. Has Laura had her baby? Does anyone know? Tomorrow morning? All right, so she should have been here tonight. And especially to our Gala chair, the wonderful, very special force of nature that is Cynthia Moses-Maniturian. Cynthia, I really wish you could have helped Maria and I plan our wedding. It would have gone so much more smoothly. And my gratitude to the Alumni Council, the class reps, the regional reps, everyone who played such a great role in getting this crowd here tonight. And finally, I just want to thank my colleagues, our extraordinary Dean, Mark Wigley, without whom none of what is happening tonight would ever have been possible. Associate Dean Devin Proven, who has just always been my partner in everything we do here. Whoops. Not getting to shop yet. And her team and our team, led by Sarah Bordy, who did an extraordinary job putting all of this together. Sarah, where are you? Thank you, Sarah. And a lot of current students who put a lot of volunteer work in. Can the current students stand up? Dan, Deborah, there's a few more here, Kurt. We have, I know all of you had the best class that ever went through this program. This is one of the most extraordinary class. This is the class to watch. It's the class to beat. There's 103 of them. 34 hail from countries all over the world. About a third are women. They are winning competition after competition. Deborah is just leading the team that's the finalist in the chase competition this year, the first time we've ever reached that benchmark. So I encourage you to meet our current students. They are an extraordinary cohort. So for me and for our program, it's been an extraordinary, transformative year. I had the pleasure of meeting so many of you, hearing so many of your comments and thoughts about this program and where it should head, where issues have been, where troubles have lurked. And I've got to say, in responding to you, we have, with my partner, the Dean, have done an extraordinary amount. Today, we have a dedicated space for our students, thanks to the Dean. We have a massively expanded faculty and unrivaled course offerings. Today, this is a little red meat for the crowd. I had to throw this in. Today, we have students from the business school beating down our door to take our classes. We have a dedicated career development professional, Emily Griffin, who's in the crowd tonight, who's a great counselor for our students. We have over half of our students traveling to Brazil, to India, to China, to Europe, to Miami. It's an emerging economy, all in January to study real estate abroad. We have a new research project underway in partnership with the Real Estate Board of New York. The chairman of the Real Estate Board, Marianne Tai, is here, called New York 2040, about the future of New York City. We have a thriving and very feisty alumni association. And we have, as we approach our next application season, a record set of applicant yields, which is to say that a student who gets into our program and gets into one of our competitors comes here. Very, very proud of that fact. So basically, in responding to so many of your voices, we have found our own. And today, I think we can state unabashedly that given the full tuition resources we have, given the tremendous platform of Columbia University in the city of New York, that we are the best real estate education available in the world. But now, if you know Dean Wigley and you know me, you know that the world is not, of course, enough. So now that we've fulfilled our core needs, our basic needs, the things that we've needed and fought for and strove for so long, we're now pursuing our dreams. Last year, we launched an expansive campaign for our program, building on the momentum that we've had and the many new relationships we've formed all over the world. We're expanding our campaign to match our greatest ambitions for this program. The Campaign for Global Design and Development is a comprehensive plan to build upon our standing as the best development program in the world by fostering a new model for development research, for global exchange, and for a new interdisciplinary curriculum. To accomplish this, we have pledged to raise $30 million for priority projects by the end of 2013. And with that money, we will fund new research faculty, new facilities, new opportunities for scholarship and international travel, new global research hubs in the form of our Studio X network, which are already underway in China, India, South America, and the Middle East. If you're traveling abroad and want to understand more about the Studio X's, you must visit them. They are the most incredible spaces. They have directors. They represent all of GSAP and Columbia to our best. To date, I am proud to say that under Devin's great leadership, we have raised $16 million, over half of that $30 million target. In fact, we are in conversations that may bring us past the $20 million mark by the end of the year. Now, some of you in this room have played a true leadership role in getting us to this point. Some of you will play a leadership role to get us across the finish line. All of you have played a role simply by being here tonight. I'd like to recognize a few of you who have played significant roles in terms of gifts this past year. To Professor Hank Bell, the great, legendary Hank Bell. Hank, where are you? Where's Hank? Who in addition to teaching, I haven't met an alumnus who doesn't tell me, oh, Hank, what Hank taught me. Jay Cross, one of my good friends, took classes from you, I think, in 1978 before there was a program, and says, what Hank taught me is what I still remember today about how to do a pro forma. Every year, Hank gives to our discretionary fund and has done a tremendous amount in supporting the program. To Oxford Properties, which is now run by our own Blake Hutchinson, class of '89, for a student research competition. To my dear friends from Mumbai, Sushil Viswani, class of '03, and his wife Deepali Viswani, for their support of Studio X in Mumbai. To Stephen Glasscock, class of '91, and his wife Barbara Van Buren, without whom we could not be building our dedicated space in Fairweather. And least, but most certainly not last, to Dana Stone, class of '88, and her husband and industry advisory board member Andy Stone for their extraordinarily generous leadership gift to kick off our efforts to fund the Center for Global Design and Development, our new flagship conference and research facility on Amsterdam Avenue. I mentioned that Andy is on our industry advisory board. I wanted to spend a couple of minutes on that. When I first started, it was very clear to Mark Holliday, to Dean Wigley, to myself, that the program had to have a very select group of industry leaders, maybe no more than a dozen, maybe 14, but a group that could actually be a working group that could get together and talk about the future of this program and this industry to guide us and to get out the word about what it is we're doing here. A number of our board members are here tonight, and I would ask them to please stand as I read their names. Andy Stone, CEO of Petra Capital. My friend and mentor, Daniel L. Doctoroff, president of Bloomberg LP. The tireless supporter, Philip L. Milstein. It's good I screwed up that name in real estate. Principal of Ogden Capital Properties. Our great supporter, Marianne Tai, Chief Executive Officer of CB Richard Ellis and Chairman of the Real Estate Board of New York. There are a few advisory board members who are here in spirit but not in body. Gene Cohn, Principal and Chairman of KPF, who's represented by the President of KPF, Paul Katz. Dan Tishman of Tishman Construction. Howard Rubenstein, who was very much planning to be here but is unfortunately having surgery today. I hear he's doing okay, of Rubenstein Communications. Certainly my mentor, Stephen Ross of the Related Companies. And finally, one of our most prominent alumni, the chair of the board of the Industry Advisory Board, the CEO of SL Green, Mark Holliday. Now, Mark was looking forward to being here. He's on the program. He was psyched to be here. He got called away to London for a deal. If you know Mark, there is nothing that gets between Mark and a deal. And so he has instead asked me to read the following words on his behalf. Please accept my sincere apologies for not joining you tonight. I was unavoidably delayed in returning from an overseas business trip, so I'm sending along these comments. At last year's event, I had the opportunity to reconnect with old friends, meet some of you for the first time, and to talk about the plans that were being put into place for the program. It was a great evening with a number of key objectives identified, and an overwhelming number of you expressed your strong support. Sure enough, with that support, we're making great progress just 1 year later, progress that's evident in a stronger and more challenging curriculum, an exceptional student body, improved facilities, energetic engagement of all students, and increased alumni involvement through the recently launched Alumni Mentoring Program. This is certainly in large part thanks to the efforts of Mark Wigley, our dean, and Vishaan, I can't pronounce the last name, who are the full-time stewards of the program. They have demonstrated vision and leadership in transforming the real estate development program in a way that has connected students with alumni and industry professionals and reconnected many alumni with the program. They are doing an extraordinary job and deserve your appreciation. Thanks for being here tonight. I look forward to our continuing efforts together. Now, last month, the Industry Advisory Board met for the first time in our inaugural meeting, and my miracle worker assistant, Linda Labella, actually aligned the schedules of all of these giants, and all of the Industry Advisory Board was in attendance. And, you know, to be perfectly honest with you, some knew about the program, some did not. But instead, they were really participating out of a sense of genuine goodwill, of camaraderie, and intellectual curiosity. My basic goal going into that evening was for them to have a good time, enjoy each other's company, and to get to know a little bit about all of us. But much more happened, much more transpired with that group, and a steady drumbeat kind of emerged. Some said, well, you know, there are a few reliable sources of data in our industry. For example, how does a developer know what sustainable measures to deploy? What's the break-even analysis? why is the rest of the world so ahead of us in infrastructure development and construction? So there was this drumbeat, and it was steady, and it was growing louder and louder through the course of the evening. And it was consistently about research. It was about data. It was about the fact that we largely fly blind in this industry, and that there is not a credible source of ongoing data as the industry develops, as building technology emerges, as sustainability becomes at the forefront of our minds. So, because we need that credible source of research and of data that guides us into practice and theory and transforms our role in a very rapidly urbanizing world. And it was clear that that was the mission that was put before myself and before the dean. Now, if you think about that for a second and think about what kind of research we could be doing, I was very struck by a study I came across that was done at the University of Chicago in 2001 that basically said that 50%, half of the gross domestic product of the United States is generated by 2% of its landmass. In the west of the Mississippi, about 4% of its landmass. And so what does that tell you? What it basically tells you is there's some kind of equation between density and prosperity, right? That if you look out in the world today and if you look at the places that are hurting the most, the Phoenixes, the Las Vegases, right, compared to the New Yorks and the San Franciscos and the Londons, there's clearly a correlation between vertical density and a kind of economic ecology that actually supports prosperity. I, in fact, did a quick calculation that if the entire population of the world, all 6 billion of us, lived at New York City densities, and I don't mean Manhattan densities, I mean all 5 boroughs, New York City densities, that if all 6 billion of us lived at that density, that we would all fit in the state of Texas. Right? So we sort of live in this world of a population explosion. People talk about it. By 2050, we're supposed to go to 9 billion people. Well, that's Texas and a little bit of New Mexico. Right? So liberals have a place to live too. But the point is, right, that vertical density is the future. It is the wave of the future. It is the wave of the future all across the planet. And as we all look to a more economically and environmentally strategic way to live and work, we will need more vertical density, which means we will need more developers. Right? That fundamentally, when you talk about vertical density, you are talking about a professionalization of the industry. And if we need more developers and we need smarter developers, we need developers who are conversant with the best practices worldwide. And that gets back to the Industry Advisory Board's mission for us, which is research, that we need to know more. And this is the precise reason that we need to build the Center for Global Design and Development. Now, the generosity of Andy and Dana Stone and other impending gifts have launched us, but we must complete this mission. The reason is simple. Thanks to Stephen and Barbara and others, we will soon have a dedicated, fully tricked out space for our students in Fairweather. But we need a state-of-the-art space for research, for a blockbuster annual conference, for executive education. We actually need this space for you. We need this space for you to return to. We need this space for you to speak in. We need this space for you to Skype with. And we need this space for you to continue to learn with us.